Hey everyone, it's AList Productions, and I thank you for checking out my workshop for JusticeCon 2021. The purpose of this workshop is to give you some tools to get started in fan editing, or just a better understanding and or respect for visual effects in general. Maybe you're asking, what is fan editing? The simple answer is, fan editing is taking existing footage from movies or TV shows and cutting them together to tell a new story. Over the years, myself and other fan editors have continued to fine-tune our skills to create elaborate stories and mashups that will probably never happen, like the Avengers fighting the Justice League, for example. I asked some people and I did some thinking, and today I will be using Sony Vegas Pro for the workshop. I chose Sony Vegas because it's one of the easier programs to learn and understand when you're first starting out, compared to, let's say, After Effects. However, a lot of these tools and tricks will carry over to any editing software in general. Today I'm going to give you the basic tools to get started on making your own impressive fan edits, or just video editing tool you might find useful. So, let's begin.
Okay, you made it through my long intro, and I appreciate you sticking around. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it here in a few seconds. I'm going to be showing you guys today the start of how you can become an editor in terms of the fan editing world. I have this clip here. I know you guys are going to be familiar with it from Batman v Superman. It's a very short clip. And today I'm going to be showing you guys more or less how to make Superman in the black suit. And this technique, just so you understand it a little bit, is something that you will be able to use in the future for putting Superman into a different scene or a different background, changing his color not just from a black suit to whatever color you want it to be. This is the bare minimum that can start you on that fan editing world. So, as I mentioned, we're using Sony Vegas because I feel like it's the best starter program for really learning anything. So as we got this clip, and to import it, it's just File. You would go Import, Media, or you can click and drag the file in there as well. First thing I'm going to do is, as you see, these tracks are connected. We don't need the audio for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this track. It's really simple. Click right on, make sure on the track, delete, gone, easy. And then what you're going to want to do is Insert Track, Copy, Paste. So now we have the same track, make sure they're lined up the same way. And to scroll up and down, this will drag the clips out or shrink them. So we need a little bit of real estate here to work on this. So just so you understand what I'm doing, this top layer, and you push this little button here to erase it. I know you can't see anything different yet. This top layer is the one we're going to be editing on, and this back layer is the original footage to make sure none of this stuff is gone. So first thing we're going to want to do, since I'm going to show you the bare minimum, of making a black suit Superman, we're going to go to Black and White Effects under the Video Effects tab. Just drop it on there, and there we go, we're done. No, I'm just kidding. We're just getting started. So as you can see now, when I minimize this, you see the difference. It's hiding one, showing the other. If you have a lot of tracks when you're doing this, you can also hit solo and it'll block out all the tracks but the one you're selecting, or you can select a few different ones and it'll highlight only those. Just a little extra tip for you. So for this type of editing, what we're going to have to do here is we're going to go to the mask tool here. So once again, in case I'm going too fast, I'm going to go here. It's a little bitty symbol right here. Click on it. It's going to open it up right here. And there's all of our footage again. Looks a little bit different, right? So what we're going to do, we don't even need that first frame, it's just black frame. Pull this little dot over, and you're going to click Mask, Enable. So now it's check marked there. And also I do want to say my software is not the most current, so they might have even better features now. But more or less this feature stays the same, not just from Sony Vegas, but to any editing software. The masking style and effect is generally the same. So you can zoom in by scroll wheeling, and this is where the monotonous part comes in, that you're going to be like, holy crap, let me show some of those VFX guys a little more respect. Okay, so here we go. You're going to basically connect the dots around his entire area that we're going to be masking out. It could be whatever. So say you just wanted to change that police officer in the background, or just a portion of his crest, or you want somebody else to be wearing the suit. It's a little trickier, but the basis is that you would mask around it. So you're going to go dot for dot. It does not have to be exactly perfect because you can go back and adjust these. But it is better to be in the realm of what it should look like for your first masking around. And if you get to a point like right now how I'm panning out and it's like, oh, that's really tiny, you're going to click up here, the normal edit tool, click anywhere on it, drag, zoom back in, click, drag, and find where you just were, back to this anchor tool, click, and you're back at it again. Like nothing even happened. I also do want to apologize if you hear any background noise during this. I have a dog outside. It's a little windy here. So you might hear some background noise. I do apologize, but we will do my best to keep up and make sure everything's perfect. And then when you're done, you know you're finishing the mask, it all highlights in yellow like that. And boom, we finished the mask. I always do a portion down here that's off screen, because then you have a little more wiggle room to play with stuff. And as you can see, he's in the black suit. It's not perfect. We're going to tweak that here in a second, as you can see. But, so here we go. Go back to this tool right here, the normal edit tool. And we don't want to click in this circle right now, or I'll show you what will happen. Oh no, now it's all messed up. Which you can just do edit, undo, or Control Z, and then undo is what you just did. But if you click here first, just a single click, and now we can scroll in a little bit, right? And I just find these points and try to tune them up a little bit. Tune them up as close. What I like to do is give a little bit on the inner side of the clip. So see his collar here? I don't want it right on the line because I'm going to show you something we're going to do here in a second. But like a little bit in would be ideal. So just a little bit in there. A little bit in there. And it's the same thing if you need to zoom or adjust at all. You're just going to click the dots, pull them, or click outside here to move. You definitely want to be as zoomed in as, not as possible, but quite a bit to fully get that range you're playing with. Make sure you don't miss anything. It's easy to miss it when it's a lot wider like it is right now. And for the most part, this looks pretty good, right? It's not perfect, and I know you're like, wait, I can see a little bit of red and whatnot, and that's okay, because what I'm going to do next, so now we'll back out a little bit. We're going to right-click, select all, and it's going to select the entire mask for you. And then you're going to go feather type, out, and you don't want to do too much. People like to click this and just start spamming it up. I like to start with a low number, like we'll do a 0.4, and then you can click anywhere on it and it'll update it a little bit. Maybe a little bit more, because you can still see a little more of that red. And we can also adjust again. We'll do a 0.6. So 0.6 is looking pretty good. Might try to see if we can get away with a 0.7 maybe. 0.7 is even better. I think we'll stick with the 0.7. And now that we have that feathered out, we can go back and just look at this stuff a little closer. See if there's any other tweaks you want to do. Adjusting any of this footage up. And now if your plan was to try to make this as authentic and detailed as, let's say, Snyder Cut. Obviously, as you know, his S is that silver and this is black. The way you would do that is the same, but a longer process. You would make another layer here. I'm just going to save this as test, whatever. So what you would do is you would make another layer. So we would go like this, insert video track, take another one of these, paste it here, bring it on top of that one by clicking and dragging, and then you would mask the crest and multiple masks for that one to make it happen. But anyways, we're doing the basics today. So here we are. Superman, black suit, there he is. Now, if this was Photoshop, you'd be pretty much done, right? But this is video editing, therefore making it a lot harder of a process. So, as we click along on the timeline, you can see it changes, and look, we're seeing more and more of that blue and red coming through. For the sake of this video, I'm going to bring it down to about like right here. And what I like to do is, when it comes to this stuff, is I'll select all again, and as you see, it created a new point down at the bottom there. It's a new point on our timeline right here. And that's showing the progress of where it will transition. So what I do is I get it about where it can be. Sometimes it's even easier than this, so we'll get it about right there. And then we're going to click these tracks, drag them a little bit, and make those minor adjustments all over again. And we're going to adjust it all back on the track up here. All of this can be adjusted again. Again, as you're seeing, this is a long process, not as easy as you thought on paper. Maybe a little less critiquing for all those visual effects don't look as good as they should, right? Right? You guys gonna be a little nicer to the VFX guys now? So here we go. We're still moving along. I'm hopefully entertaining you guys with my terrible, terrible, terrible humor. This is pretty much what I sound like when I'm editing all the time. I'm just talking to myself like I'm a crazy person. And we're going through. Just try to match it up as best you can. It does not have to be perfect. I will say it is always better to use the same mask you started, meaning don't come down here on the track and delete this entire thing and build a new mask while it might seem easier. It's not going to have that transition period in between anymore. It won't have any of that anymore. It'll all be gone, and you'll be set to just endure the pain of masking it out. And also, you can, if it is more your style, you can do multiple masks. Which what I mean by that is, for this entire sequence, I could have just masked just his arm and followed it all the way down, just the other arm, just his chest. You can break it up, and sometimes that's better. Say there's a scene where the person is standing straight like this, but say Superman punched his arm out this way. It'd be good to mask this part together, and then over here where he would punch on the left, you could have something completely different, a separate mask. So there we go. Look, he's back in again. And now you're thinking, oh, so it'll perfectly transition from point A to wherever the heck we're at. No, it will not. But since we have an ending point now, which I've picked here, we have all this stuff in between that we can now play around with, get it down a little better how we want. And now, this is where the real fun begins. It is a step-by-step, frame-for-frame change. Now, having that endpoint is going to help us in the long run. But see right now, and this is where the fun part begins. So here's the easiest thing you notice. See the cape up here? This is when we go from the frame we've already finished to the next frame. And you're going to come down and adjust again. It is a very slow process, guys. And in a more advanced program like After Effects, there's a lot more little tools and tricks you can use to smoothing out the mask even more than Sony Vegas has to offer. But like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to use Sony Vegas because it's the basics for editing. It's one of the easier programs to understand when you're first starting. After Effects is a little crazy, but if you guys like this and I'm invited back for next year's Justice Con, we could always do an After Effects tutorial if that's something that would interest you guys more. But masking is one of the big staples of not just fan editing, but visual effects in general. A lot of these guys are doing these type of things. For the Snyder Cut, for example, all those black and silver Superman shots, while they might have came up with different techniques and whatnot to do it, this is what these guys were doing. They were rotoing all this stuff out, masking all this stuff out to make Superman in the black suit. So I really appreciate those things. And that's just him. We're not talking about Steppenwolf. We're not talking about all the other millions of effects that go into these type of films. So look, we go to the next frame. Cape's moving again. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is a long, long process. This is so long. This is so tedious. And yes, it is. But it's kind of like, this is the example I always give when I'm telling people, and they're like, wow, that takes a lot of work. That's a long process. It's like, well, it's like anything. You know, you don't look like The Rock by never going to the gym and eating pizza rolls every day. You got to put in the work. And it's the same thing with creating an effect like this. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the time. That's why most fan editors channels, guys who take it seriously in terms of doing these detailed edits like this, we're never posting weekly videos, sometimes not even monthly videos, because some of these effects take forever, because this is the basic one. We're not even diving into if I wanted this to be green and this to be purple, but this to be red, and then I want on his neck to have a necklace, and then like when you get to that territory, you're spending months and months just finishing one shot, right, for a small segment of your video. So it is time consuming. There's no sugarcoating it, and like I said, there's different tricks and stuff, and depending on the shots that you pick for your video, it might be even better. Like you could pick a shot where the person doesn't move hardly at all, and it'd be a lot easier shot to do. And he's not moving a whole lot in this shot either. You know, don't get me wrong, but he does move. And again, I know I've said it like 50 times. This is not going to be perfect today. I don't want to take up a 5-hour slot on JusticeCon to show you guys how to perfect mask this situation. But it is a lot of eyeballing when it comes to this. It's a lot of your own judgment, which is why you have that reference footage in the back, how you can see this red right here and this blue. We know we got to cover that up still. So you can go back and you can go, okay, what about this? Yeah, it's pretty covered up. And then you go, what about this? Yep. You just keep looking back between the footage. And you don't have to do this with just footage. If you wanted to do this type of effect with text or with anything, as long as it can be dropped into the program, you can mask around it and utilize it however you desire. The biggest mistake I see people do when it comes to this stuff in general is they'll start off and they'll be like, wow, this is going to take so long. So they take the easy way out. And the easy way out, so I can show you guys, it would be going like this, select all, right? And you take this number and you just start cranking it up. And look at this gray we get around his neck. And then like, oh, well, maybe I did too much. Oh, that looks good. And it's like, once it's rendered, you're going to see this gray so much. So much. So it's better to just not cut the corners and do it the authentic way. Even if like somebody watching on YouTube might not notice it necessarily, deep down, one, you're going to notice it. Two, any editors at all are going to notice, oh, he took the easy way out. He didn't want to put in the time, put in the work. And, ultimately, when it comes to video editing, even if you're just making this stuff for fun, you're putting your own stamp of approval on the work. So if your stamp of approval is mediocre work and you're okay with that, well, that's on you. I've always been like, quality of work over quantity of work. That's how I've always looked at it when it comes to editing. Okay, boom. It's looking pretty good, guys. And to see just this little section, you can click and drag. And you can just push play, get a little test render. And if it's a little laggy like mine is, you can always drop the quality by clicking up here, doing quarter, half, etc. But as you can see, it is pretty good. And one of the last techniques I will show you guys. So what we'll do is we're going to right click here. And you have all these options. We're going to hit duplicate track. And this is duplicating the black and white layer that we have right here. And what I like to do next is go down. And there's this Gaussian blur. I'm not exactly sure if that's how you say it, but it's right here. And you'll see my stupid named things that I've used for other projects. But either way, you're going to click a light blur. That's usually what I start with. Drop it on that second track, which is the underlayered track. And so right here, and we'll mute this one so you guys can see. It's just a blurred layer of what we already did. But what I've noticed in the past and with my videos when it comes to a mask, is having that blur just adds a little bit more realism to the final effect. Now, I think it might be a little too harsh of a blur, so we can go here. So once again, sorry, I'm going through this a little fast from just habit. Event VFX. Right here. This shows the stuff we have on if we want to take anything off. See how it looks before. But I think it's a little too harsh right now, so what I'm going to do is add 100 and 100. We're going to go ahead and do a 0, 50. 0, 50, and that makes it a less blur. So as you can see, it's going to be less, and that should be enough. And that'll kind of cream out some of those edges, make it a little bit more natural around the mask. And then if it's still too much, you can always bring down the opacity a little bit. I would bring it down to like maybe, we'll do a 70 since this is just a test to give you guys the idea. And once again, if your goal was to make him look as identical to the Snyder Cut, you would make a separate mask layer and mask the S during this, the under layer, because you would have to match this. They had to match this to this texture, so that's a lot harder of a pull there. And then this had to be a brighter silver. But anyway, that's the basis for learning how to do this stuff. Go ahead and render this out and let you guys see what it looks like. We'll go ahead and render this out here in a few seconds and let you guys see what it looks like as a whole thing. But once again, I will say big thank you to JusticeCon for everybody who watched this tutorial in this little section of my little piece I've able to contribute. I do appreciate it. After this video plays of what the final little product looks like, my social medias and JusticeCon stuff will be on the screen for you guys to drop a follow, likes, all that good stuff. If you guys are having trouble with this tutorial or any questions, you can always hit me up on Twitter or Instagram or wherever, and I'd be more than happy to answer questions, talk to you guys, have no problem doing that. So once again, thank you guys for checking this out, and let's check out the final result.